Is this thing working? I think it is. Check my sound window here. Make sure it's all. Wait, wait. Okay, that is working. I just saw it. All right, making sure everything's good. Hi, Marvin. You can sit there if you want. Oh, somebody's watching. I guess I should turn on the mic. Good morning, whoever you are. Oh, they just left. Jeez. So much for that. Sorry about that. Good morning, Dan. How you doing? Chuck Lee, how you doing? People are filtering in, and then the mic on. Doing a little inking here while everybody kind of filters in. I've got some inking to do, and also some books to show. Get into that when a few more people filter in, hopefully. No, I did this thing really early Sunday morning, and not everybody's into that. Excuse me. That's why I usually have the mic muted when people show up, because I've got COPD and I'm old and I make tons of old man noises. Nobody wants to hear that amplified by a microphone. Come on now. Someone saying, how you doing? Good morning. Oh, yeah, Dan. This is only half a page. The way I have to do these, uh, when I'm inking conventionally, since I don't have a large format printer, um, I have to do them, on 8.5 by 11s at whatever size the panel is and whatever I can fit. And also, the other panel on here is this one, which may upset YouTube a little bit. So I'm trying not to show that one off on camera quite so much. Someone saying it's making lunch. I've been all right, man. Just trying to get my camera issues worked out. I still want to record video, but I'm not sure how to do that with OBS Studio. I don't know what else to use. This eMeet camera didn't come with software to do that the way the Logitech did. But then the Logitech kept crashing my system, so obviously you can't have that. I thought I would try something different, and instead of printing out in light blue, I thought I would see how it would do if I printed out in light gray, since basically the process of taking out the blue lines involves like lighting it up, turning it into gray, and then taking the gray out anyway when you get it digitally. I thought, well, what would happen if I just did it in really light gray? And you can see here the pencil line, it looks like pencil lines. Looks like you're inking actual pencils. And if I've got to tweak the contrast to take all this stuff out anyway, why bother with the blue? I can see this better. How do I practice rendering? Do I blow up artwork and copy comic book artists rendering? Um, I really, I suggest, uh, camera's blurry now. Oh yeah, sorry, that autofocus. Yeah, thanks for the heads up. Can't have that. Uh, anyway, what I was saying was, if you can, you want to look at the artwork at full size. Um, I suggest either get photocopies from people. You can study scans over at Heritage Auctions. Their site's pretty cool. I get a lot of scans of famous artwork over there, and you can study this stuff. Pretty large scans, but I really to do pen and ink artwork like this at this size, at original comic size, I really suggest studying the artwork of other other artists who you admire. If you can get photocopies or scans, high resolution scans, which a lot of artists will offer that sort of thing on Patreon. You'll see artists doing that. That's how I get some pencils that I'm going to be inking here on the channel, I think. But I really suggest studying the stuff at full size. Um, if I was going to learn how to ink today, I guess what I would probably do, if I wanted to learn how to clone a particular style, is I would find high resolution copies, scans of that person's artwork or artist editions or something like that, um, and then make blue lines of the inks, if you can, as practice sheets. And then I would try and practice duplicating the strokes that you see on the page. Because what I did was I took photocopies of original artwork and I would sit them right down next to my next to me on the table. Because I was dealing with pencilers at Wildstorm, so they would see Jim Lee do a particular type of rendering effect, and then the next week you look in the inbox and all the pencilers are trying to do the same effect. So they want you. They're all going to want you to ink it like Scott Williams, and you know that. So you may as well look at what Scott did and figure out what it is that the penciler wants, so that you can help him get to that. And by imitating that stuff, I picked up a little of this and a little of that, and I was influenced by Scott Williams and Richard Bennett and uh, Trevor Scott, Alex Garner quite a bit, and managed to collect enough textures and stuff that was similar enough to theirs that I could do that. I eventually built a repertoire and eventually made its way around in my own hand rather than being an imitation of theirs. And that's really what it is: learning the techniques, getting the techniques down, and then doing the techniques so much that they become your own. That's what I think really helps. I hope that answers your question. See, and you guys can't see it, but up next to my screen here, where I've got your window, I've also got a window pulled up of the pencils to this in their original form that I can kind of refer to as I'm doing this. When you're inking blue lines or anything like that, unless you're very confident of what you're doing and the blue lines are very clear, you want to have a photocopy or something of the original pencils as they were in gray that you can refer to. Always fun to do details and scarification, stuff like that. Because scarification like that is that's an area where you can really play. That's a place where you can kind of practice your rendering that a penciler will appreciate. When you figured out this kind of textural pattern and you see a spot where the penciler's indicated texture, the way Rob has here, one of the things you can do that can enhance the work on a limited basis is to sort of break out, like, how do I do messed up skin? How do I do scarification? You know, because in a sense, I kind of think of all inking as, to some degree or another, as experimentation for something that I might bring to my own work. And in the process, try to enhance what another person's trying to do. And you see, I'm basically just going in at this point, accenting the really dark areas where I want to make sure there's shadow because there's a lot of rendering going on, and sometimes you can just sort of gray the whole thing out. But I really feel a duty here to make sure I portray the proper texture and to get the proper mood of the shot. She's obviously in shadow. Is very much an introspective sort of moment of some sort or another. I don't know what kind of dialogue Rob has in mind to apply, but just using the context of what's drawn, I can see, like, okay, she's pondering something. And that's the time, if you want to insert some shadows or something like that, that's usually a moment where your pencil is going to appreciate that. I'm also making an effort to make sure that I'm getting more of a textural feel on this side and a smoother feel on that side. I don't know if I'm achieving that or not. We shall see. But I don't sweat it as much as I used to in the old days, especially when I'm controlling the scan and I can go and do digital touch ups later. Like, okay, anything that's not quite right, I can probably go in and fix it later. I don't sweat it too much anymore. Do I recommend studying Richard Bennett? Um, I mean, if you can get your hands on some stuff of his at full size, I think it would be worth your while. But that's kind of hard to get a hold of. Um, I would say honestly, um, Scott Williams is much more accessible to somebody that's just trying to buy stuff, to grab a hold of stuff. There's a lot more, examples of his stuff online that you can probably find at high resolution. Um, and I can't think of a better inker than Scott. Period. Point blank. Full stop. Scott Williams, greatest inker of all time. Sorry. No insult to anybody else, but Scott's still kicking everybody's ass 30 years later. Oh, another inker for texture rendering. That's what you're asking about. Texture. I do think that Richard's got some good stuff for texture. It's hard to get a hold of to look at. Somebody else that might be gettable is I've been looking a lot at this book. I mean, is it in here? Yeah, yeah. I've been looking a lot at this book here. This is Showcase presents the All Star Squadron, and there's a lot of inking in here by Jerry Ordway. Jerry Ordway has been a master for a long time. And since this showcase presents stuff is all presented in black and white, you can really kind of get a look at what he's doing there. Pretty good. You know, he likes his tones. But yeah, this guy is a master of texture. And learn how to do clouds and things like that. Smoke, water, everything looks tip top. There's nothing in there. Scott Williams always used to tell me you're only as good as the weakest element on the page. So the whole idea is to try and make sure that there's as few weak elements as you can get away with, or none. That's your goal. Now, sometimes that's more possible than others. He's got some really nice rendering in here. Nice, clean sort of stuff. I don't know whether he's using a pen or a brush. Probably a combination of both. I'm guessing. There's some spots I can tell. and then other spots where I'm not as sure. But it's all really beautiful line work. But I like that really nice, clean look like that, like a Terry Austin, like this Jerry Ordway stuff. Oh, hey, there's enough people here. Well, Rob's going to be mad if he misses this. I hope Rob's here. You're going to miss this, buddy. Stayed up too late. Slept in too long. I got this week from France. And this is the Avengers Ultron saga. But just like that Claudio Castellini book that I got a few weeks back, it's all stuff in black and white. So you can study the inking. See, like learning how to ink something like this would be absolutely indispensable, Chuck Lee. This guy learned from Jerry Ordway. That's what made me think of it. Um, this is inking by Alve. And this is on the Avengers series that he did with George Perez about, oh, I don't know, 25 years ago, 30 years ago, something like 98. Sorry, I'm bumping the camera. Trying to get you guys a look at some of that. All that crazy stuff in the hair he's got going on. That's what I look at and I go, oh, how do you do that? That's just nuts. Seems like you'd lose track of what you were doing real damn quick. Stuff like that. That's just, you're just noodling. You just figured out a noodle in that spot to make it work. It's what Scott Williams would refer to as a cipher. Because that doesn't look like curly hair. Hair doesn't look anything like that. But when you look at that, that looks like curly hair. Unless it's sitting on a plate, then it could be like a plate of spaghetti. You know, just depending upon the context. Oh, this book is called Le Chef d'Oeuvre. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to stop right there. I'm sure I'm butchering that to death. Uh, anyway, it's the Ultron Saga by Kurt Busiek and George Perez, and I got it from Amazon France, like the other book that I featured a few weeks ago. But yeah, it got here this week, and I thought I would break it out, show you guys a little bit of that. So yeah, it's not from the original art, but it's pretty darn clean. I liked that Claudio Castellini book so much that when I saw this, I was like, "Oh, I'll take a chance on that. I bet that's sweet," and it is. So yeah, I wish I'd had resources like this to look at when I was learning how to ink, because really, until I got to Wildstorm and got a chance to look at original artwork, trying to study it shot down in comic books with color on top of it. Wow, you're in for a hell of a time, because you're just not going to see detail like that once it's all shot down and colored, covered in this computer color mud that they like to do on everything. Crazy amounts of detail, courtesy of George Perez. May he rest in peace. Don't get comic book artwork that looks like that now, kids. This is the product of when people actually gave a shit. Ooh, look at that one. Wow. The intensity in the face and the ink technique. Wow. Yeah, see, I have the omnibus of all this stuff in color, but it's smaller than this and it's in English. This stuff. I'm looking at the hair a lot going, okay, how do I do hair like that? Because I'm digging it. It's a little different than the way I do it. You need some debris. Anybody looking at how to ink debris and shit like that? Really nice detailed stuff. So, but yeah, another one of those books is about $50, but worth every damn dime. Mm. The other book I got this week was a book called Rough Stuff by Alex Ross. I'll break that one out here in just a second. Sorry, I keep seeing this over the side, and I'm like, oh, it's amazing that it was created without layers. Oh, yeah, that Paris stuff. Yeah, that's just crazy. But they had a way to do that. You just did layers of tracing paper, and you would paste the stuff up. I mean, it could be done. It was harder. It cost you more money while you were going. That's for sure. But yeah, this is a Rough Justice, the DC Comics sketches of Alex Ross. I got this one this week, and I've been flipping through that. What I'm most impressed with is that Ross can do such a myriad of styles. He can hint at something like a classic artist like Dick Sprang, and then other times get totally realistic, jump into some Jack Kirby or whatever sort of look that he wants to get a flavor of. He seems to be really good at it. Um, I like looking at his rougher work because you can see less photos going on and actually get an idea. Man, it's obvious the guy draws really well. just right off the cuff. He studied some Andrew Loomis, clearly. I guess his mother was a commercial illustrator, so I'm sure she guided him to really good early influences. And then he went and studied at a really good school in Chicago. And then proceeded to work storyboards. And this is all before he got into comics. But yeah, he was a responsible YouTuber today and actually went and looked up a little bio information about Alex Ross before I. It's like, oh, if I'm going to break that out, I should have something to say about Alex Ross besides, do you really like his stuff? Here's your drawing. So I wonder sometimes about where he's using photos and where he's not. I like it when he breaks into the Superman animated style too, because he just nails it. And I'm like, man, that level of versatility is something I don't possess. But yeah, I love seeing Alex Ross's stuff. Pretty cool. Oh, just like last time too. I will put I will put links in the description to the to this book that I'm not going to try and butcher in French again. Avengers Ultron Unlimited. See, that's in English right there. I can read that. But if you look on Amazon France, where I did, that's what you're looking for. Yeah, Dan, you should see the uh, next week. Maybe I'll get that out. The omnibus has the pencils that George Perez did, and these are, you know, for this Ultron stuff. At least for the first issue of the Avengers run that he did, and the pencils are just the most immaculate thing. Super duper clean stuff. Um, I think those are his thumbnail rubs. I wonder if he does them at that size. I always wonder that because, like, I've heard artists talk about it for before, and I haven't quite found my sweet spot yet. Like, there's a size that you begin working at that's comfortable for you, where everything seems to flow kind of easily, and it's usually not full size boards, and it's usually not, a postage stamp, but somewhere in between there, you find a size where you're comfortable working, at least analog, and and you kind of stick to that, and then resize to get to whatever size the client needs. See, I like it when he sticks to this comic style of his. That dude, it looks so much like the 1970s Shazam show. I'm sure he was influenced by that when he's putting this work together. see it. Like that looks just like George Reeves. That looks just like Adam West. That looks just like the dude from the 1970s show. And I guess maybe he doesn't think of Linda Carter as Wonder Woman. Maybe he's thinking of somebody else as Wonder Woman. I don't know. Or he thought maybe he shouldn't press his luck. I don't know. But yeah, this is a good one too. I was glad I picked that up. Not too expensive. She looks very crispy. We gotta make sure. I want it crispy on one side and hot looking on the other. That's what I'm going for. Hey, thanks, Dan. Let me get this up so you guys can take a look and see what's actually happening there. I figure since this is a half-page shot, I've got room to pack in detail, and he's got her looking all solemn and everything. So and plus I know Rob's been looking at that Sylvester thing too. So no, I didn't go look at that, but which it would be fun if I did. Uh, but knowing that he's done that, I think okay, I get an idea what he's looking for. Well, it must look like pencils because I keep looking at it and being afraid I'm going to smear the pencils. I'll have to be careful. When it starts fooling me, that's a good sign. In terms of my printout, anyway. But the problem is your gray lines start to really disappear. When you start putting down your black lines, it starts to look really light next to it. So, yeah, from where you guys are sitting, you can barely see that. Hey, thanks, Chuck Lee. GC, is that on regular printer paper? No, that is not regular printer paper. This is cardstock. I found a nice, inexpensive cardstock on Amazon. Very thin, um, which isn't my favorite thing about it or anything, but it is thinner than most cardstock. But it seems to take pen and ink real well. I think it was mainly put out there for people wanting to hand letter wedding invitations or something like that. But I treat it just like like you would treat a convention sketch to some degree. Like, yeah, it's not on official paper, but if you use the right tools, you could still get professional results. On a small scale, it's not going to cost you the bank. All right, I'm pretty happy with that so far. Adding in a little detail here, I figure her hair is all kind of fried out. There's probably stray hairs and stuff going on. I really like this pen. It gives a dead line, which isn't always what I want. But for times when you want to stay thin and you don't want to have to worry about it, it's a pretty good one. It's a high tech C. Okay, and here's the spot where my eyesight begins to be an issue. So I think for the rest of the hair, I'll probably do this part, but then I'm probably gonna leave the hair alone and touch it up in post. It's one of the things I like about working digitally as well. It gives me a second chance to go in and cleanly correct mistakes, things like that. Just having just the ability to go in and take out a line cleanly and go right back over that spot is something that's a challenge. Here I am 30 years later, and like just being able to correct mistakes is still difficult with pen and ink. Um, you just try to get good at not messing up, basically. You find ways to cover up when you screw up, and then shooting it down has a big effect. Hey, someone saying, "Have a good one, man. We'll see you." I think I'm gonna wrap up the stream here today. I've been on for about an hour and a half. People are gonna show back up here anytime. So, but that's what I've done here today. Appreciate everybody joining me, and I appreciate everybody that watches this stuff later because I know people do. And I'll be doing it next week. Hey, maybe next week we might have time to pull out something else I was looking at. See, I joined Brett Bruce Patreon, and I did some printouts of his pencils as well. We kind of ran out of time this week, but next week I might take a crack at that thing. Or this one. So, anyway, again, thanks for joining me. I appreciate that you took the time out to spend with me this morning. And I hope the rest of your day is good. All right. Bye.